When I was a senior in high school, I got pregnant, and that turned my life around, upside down. I started to make this notebook, and I was collecting quotes from like Oprah, self-help books, psychology books. I was just trying to make sense of what happened to me because I was supposed to go away to college. It was really a big change for me and my family. And my grandmother, who had prayed for me, and my auntie invited me to church. Okay, I'm going to try anything at this point. And if God is the answer that would fit in my notebook, then he would fit in my notebook. And I remember sitting there in service, thinking to myself, okay, God, if you are real like this person is preaching, then I don't need this notebook anymore. I know there's things in the Bible I don't understand and I don't fully believe in yet, but I'm going to give it all to you. Whatever your plan is better than my plan. It's been over 30 years. It wasn't, all, a field of flowers, running easy. God's been my hope. He's been the love that I need, the strength, the courage, what I need in every single hill and valley. So the past 2 years, I've been experiencing some health issues. And so the option that my doctor had wanted me to take was surgery. And I had been trying to push that off, hoping that something would just change. My husband and I were on vacation, and he says to me, I think you need to have that surgery that your doctor wants you to have. I got a little upset. I was a little taken aback by him because that was the first time he kind of said anything that was like, you really should do this. And I realized, I think he might be right. We have the surgery in September of 2024. The surgery went well. My symptoms stopped. Things seemed to be going really, really well. Then in November, I missed a phone call from my doctor, tried to call her back, ended up making an appointment with her. And then I get an email. And in the email, I see the pathology report from my surgery. Didn't pay much attention. I thought, just a bunch of medical terms. And then I wake up the next morning and I was like, I should probably look up some of these words before I get to my doctor's appointment. And I look it up and I realize that I have cancer. And I had to sit in that for a little bit. I didn't expect to say to anyone that I had cancer. I had a lot of thoughts about my family, my husband, my kids, and my grandkids. It's like, God, how am I gonna be able to see them grow up? How is I gonna be able to love them and care for them if I was sick or even not alive? The fear, the anxiety, the doubt. This might mean that I was gonna die. I really just didn't know at that point. I wasn't sure what was gonna happen. I play out the scenarios and I say, God, if this is what's happening, then you know that this is what's gonna happen, and then this is what's gonna happen. And then how are we gonna deal with that? And how are we gonna deal with this? I know there's things that you know that I don't know, and I trust you. And I believe that you have the best plan. I go to my doctor's appointment, and she tells me, yes, you had cancer. It was stage 1A, which is the very, very lowest form of cancer, that I'm not going to need any other treatment, that the surgery was the cure for the cancer. And I remember sitting there trying really hard to listen to her words. I didn't want to misinterpret anything that she was going to say. And she said, this is not a cancer that we normally test for. So no, none of the tests showed that you had cancer. And no, she didn't know I had cancer either. The pathologist made a comment that this was the smallest that he's ever seen. And that came from a pathologist who sees many of these cases. So then I asked, well, how would I have known I had cancer if you didn't have taken it out in the surgery? And she said, you wouldn't have known you had cancer until maybe 3 years later when it had spread in your body. And you would have come to me because you had stage 3 cancer, stage 4 cancer. And I said, oh, wow. I walked away amazed like I've never been amazed before. God literally saved my life before I even knew I needed it. Yeah, it's weird. It's kind of crazy, like, didn't the doctors do that? Not God. But my doctor literally told me she didn't know I had cancer, and yet I'm healed of cancer. And now I'm cancer-free. Only God could do that. Second to giving my whole life to the Lord. This is the next greatest thing that he's ever done.
Happy birthday to you.
The day after I went to my doctor's appointment, it was actually my birthday. The kids and the grandkids came over to celebrate my birthday. I'll tell you, that was a very sweet birthday. Very, very sweet. Yeah. One of my life scriptures has been 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and sound mind. I wouldn't have been able to stand if I didn't have God. And I think about that all the time. Yeah. Like, God, I could not go through this without you. I just would have easily rather give up a lot of times if I didn't have hope in him, knowing that he has a plan in place. Like, there's something around the corner. I just don't know what it is. I just don't know how it's going to play out. I don't know if it's going to take 2 steps or if it's going to take 1,000 steps, but I believe there's a plan, and I believe that there's hope in him. I can't believe how good God is.